The coaching and consulting and course industry is changing like crazy. And to stand out in all the online noise, you're going to have to make some powerful shifts in your business to be one of the ones that your people can find. We're going to talk about the number one shift you need to make right now to be able to stand out and have your people find you. So the coaching and consulting industry that we all live in, whether we're doing actually coaching and consulting or we're leading online courses, that industry is booming. It's crazy, the growth that we're all experiencing. And with that growth comes a lot of opportunity, and it also comes with a lot of people entering the space. And to stand out, there's some things we have to do, some powerful shifts we're going to have to make to stand out so that your people can find you. And earlier this year, I wrote a post about the 5 shifts we all need to make. It was a really popular conversation, and I had a lot of questions about how to do one of those shifts. And one of those shifts that we're talking about is this. It's the shift from general to specific. And we also call it narrowing, like narrowing your focus. And I had a lot of people say, well, Janine, I'm not really sure how to do that. Like, how do I get more specific? Or am I specific enough? So we're gonna look at this. How do you make this move from being general in what it is that you're offering, whether that's your coaching or the online course you're creating, to getting really specific about who you're speaking to and how you do what you do? So there's 3 ways to do it, and I want to walk through a couple of these to give you some food for thought so you can think about, 1, do I need to narrow more? And, am I already specific enough, or is there an opportunity to get more specific and stand out more? So number 1, the first place that you can get more specific is right here. So this is my little artistic endeavor of the day, my creative moment, is by looking at your people, okay? When you think about who your people are, this is the first place I would go to get more specific. Like, who are you serving? Now, there's a lot of ways you can get more specific. So let's look at some of the ways. I mean, these are all ways that we can get more specific. We can say, I work with women. I work with women of a certain age. I work with, organizations. I work with certain size organizations. But if you really start here, you can start to see a picture of your perfect people. So for example, if you are a life coach and you're working with people on finding meaning and purpose, you could say, well, I can work with everybody, right? But if you narrow and you say, I want to work with women, maybe women who are, in their 40s to 50s, and I want to work at a life stage with them where they are perhaps coming out of a divorce. They're coming out of a long-term relationship, and I want to help them find purpose, right? If that's your work, is finding purpose. By narrowing the audience, you're already getting more specific. Now, this is really powerful starting here because it's going to set you up to do this next piece. The next thing that you could look at to narrow is you could ask yourself, what's the problem that my perfect audience is experiencing related to what you do? So if I'm looking at the problem, I can say, is there a specific issue, or is the work I do different a bit when I work with this audience? So let's go back to the example of the life coach, right? Who has defined that she wants to work with women, 40s to 50s, coming out of a long-term relationship, divorce. When she thinks about the problem of finding purpose, she can start to get much more specific about what they're dealing with. And having talked to somebody who does this work, right? What's coming up immediately as she was telling me about how she does work with her audience is that it's different. Finding purpose is different because you're experiencing the loss of sometimes friendships. You're letting go of a lot of stability. You might actually be relocating. You're dividing up assets. Like, there's all this stuff that's going on that can make the work have a different dimension to it. So you see how defining the people can help you get more specific about the problem. Now, the third way that you can get more specific is right here. You can think about, how far will you take them? So when you're thinking about helping your audience, think about, I'm going to meet my audience here. So in this case, these are women who are coming out of a divorce, looking to define life purpose and find meaning. How far will you do this work with them? You can get more specific about what it is you're actually doing in your work. And when you think about this, you might say something like, oh, I'm going to help them build a roadmap, of what it is that they want, discover what they want, and get very clear about what they want their new life to hold. The thing that I think gets us stuck here is a lot of times when we're thinking about the work we could do, we want to put everything we can do into the first offer. So I want you to look at this with me, because you can think about moving your clients from here to there, and you don't have to do it all in one step, right? Your first offer, like your online course that you're marketing, for example, could be about discovering what you want. Like if you were this life coach, you could say, I'm going to help these women define what they want. And that is her first offer. The next step could be, okay, now let's go out and create it, right? And the second step could be some type of high-level coaching or a coaching group that actually implements the steps. 3 different ways that you could get a lot more specific to really stand out. Who's your people? What's the problem you're going to solve for them? And how is it different for this audience than it might be for another audience? And then how far will you take them? So I want you to think about that coach, right? When she's talking to her audience, she stands out when she's talking to a newly divorced woman. Yes, she's a life coach. Maybe that person was thinking about hiring a life coach, but when she hears, wow, that's what she specializes in, she gets what I'm going through, that's exactly what I need, is to figure out how do I go from here to there, that life coach is going to stand out as the obvious choice. And that's what you want for your people. So think about moving from general to specific and how you can do that. And that's going to set you up to create a really powerful online course, a really impactful coaching experience, very high results oriented consulting. This is the secret to really standing out. Now, there is also a deeper dive blog post, the article I had mentioned earlier, that talks about all 5 shifts. You'll find that link in here too if you want to go deeper and look at all of them. And let me know, what shift are you working on? Who do you want to work with? How are you going to get more specific to stand out?